Can we start from basically a simple introduction from your side? Yeah, who are you? What you're
Who am
doing?
I? Who am I? Yes, so I am Mel Singh, and my work really is, I guess, like my background is in kinesiology, and I know kinesiology means different things in different places, but my background really is in like exercise physiology. So kinesiology is meaning like of the body, how the body functions, how the body moves and works. So that was my original background. And I got very interested in the nervous system and neurophysiology because, as we will probably get into, the nervous system controls literally everything in our body. And that was very fascinating for me. So a lot of my work moved into understanding the nervous system more deeply, initially from the perspective of like peak performance, human performance, and actually athletes. But after I was a rugby player in what feels like a past life. I had many concussions, suffered from tremendous anxiety, depression, and what I now know to be nervous system dysregulation. My work really moved more into like the mental health space and understanding, all of the different holistic ways that we can support nervous system health, support mental health. And so it sort of moved and transitioned into really like a holistic practice. So going into different, Ayurvedic principles for mental health and healing, yogic principles for mental health and healing, and now really kind of bridging the gap between, okay, what is the science saying around, nervous system support, and what does Ayurveda and these sort of ancient Eastern philosophies, what do they say about it? And so putting those together has been really, really cool and really, really powerful, and really cool to see that actually a lot of ancient practices are being now proven with modern science, which is also very, very interesting. So putting that all together and supporting people in healing their nervous systems and making themselves more resilient is what I do.
Okay, so basically you're currently sort of teaching people more about, or how to use it, how your practice works. I'm very curious. It's like, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So mostly I work with people. I prefer to work with people inside of like my main program, Embodied Ayurveda,
Yeah.
because I do feel like nervous system regulation, it's not just one thing. Or if I do say, like, I do occasionally do say one-to-one consultations with people, but I find that that's great because then they learn what to do. But it can feel if we're really dysregulated, it can be overwhelming for me to tell you, okay, you need to do these three things. Maybe you won't do those three things. Maybe you need to focus on one thing. So having sort of like a structured plan and program for people to sort of dive in and out of and ebb and flow through and kind of be able to understand, also be able to understand their nervous system. That's like a missing piece of the puzzle too, which we actually just talked about before we were recording, is like, we don't even understand what's happening in our body when we're feeling stressed, anxious, depressed, overwhelmed, when we're in dysregulation. So many of us are just living in that state, but we don't actually know what's going on. Maybe we see it as normal. And being able to teach people really deeply about their nervous system, about what's happening in their mind and body, even from an Ayurvedic perspective, I have found it to be really, really powerful, because then when we have that foundational understanding, then all of a sudden we can go out and we can understand how to use modalities like the Pulsetto, or how to use breath practices, or how to use meditation or self-massage in a way that's actually going to be supportive for our nervous system, so that we don't always have to rely on seeing a practitioner all of the time to support our nervous system. We kind of have this like toolbox of ways that we can support ourselves. So the main way I like to support people is really through that like education piece, and of course coaching and supporting and all of that, but in like that larger context, I have found to be a lot more successful.
Okay, so I guess, and how basically how vagus nerve came into your life. I understand that you started sort of looking into
Yeah.
nervous system, and when and how you basically understood how important this nerve that basically not a lot of people know about.
Yes.
So yeah, how that happened and when you started working with it.
Yeah. So maybe like probably around the time of the pandemic, actually, when I got introduced to the polyvagal theory. And that was like a mind-blowing experience of its own, where I was like, whoa, polyvagal theory, understanding the different states of the nervous system, everything makes sense. And then it's like, polyvagal, what's this vagus nerve all about? And really learning and understanding, first of all, how powerful it is, right? How it modulates the different states of the nervous system. And that there are ways that we can, I don't want to say hack the vagus nerve, but there are ways that we can support it. There are ways that we can tone it. There are ways that we can make it stronger, and that's going to make our nervous system stronger. That was so cool for me. And to see, because I think that a lot of people think like mental health and stress, it's in the mind, but actually it's so body-based. So kind of diving deeper into that somatic lens of seeing that, oh my God, there are physical practices. There are physical things I can do. Maybe if my mind is feeling overwhelmed and all over the place, there are physical things I can do that are going to activate that nerve, and that's going to create a calming effect. So maybe that swirling mind can kind of just soften a little, and I can have a little bit more calm and peace. Like that was really, really cool for me. So learning all of those different ways, vagal nerve, stimulators, different self-massage, different breath practices, learning all of those things was really, really cool. And also, again, kind of tying it back into yoga and Ayurveda, like it was so cool for me that a lot of those practices were already in yoga, right? And of course, there's, other things that we can do as well that I'm sure, again, we'll talk about. But yeah, it was really, really cool to see that. And then to practice it for myself and to see like the very profound impact that just a couple minutes even, right? It doesn't take long. That's the crazy thing too. I remember when I was saying, when I first used the Pulsetto, I was like, only 4 minutes? Like this, no, this isn't true. But actually that is it, right? We don't want to overdo it necessarily, but yeah, to have such quick and effective ways of just being able to calm down that like physiological stress response was really, really cool to learn. And then to actually experience, it was awesome.
And do you have any sort of tips, or I don't know, how do you approach that, but how people could incorporate vagus nerve stimulation in daily routines, because for some people it seems just like it's such a hassle, it seems like, oh, it's 4 minutes, but like how, when,
Yeah, I'm a big fan of like the morning and evening routine. I'm also a big fan of them not having to be like 2 hours in the morning. Like it can be really simple. So if I think about like a morning routine, like you wake up, you brush, you just do some little consistent thing where you wake up, you brush your teeth, in Ayurveda, we scrape the tongue. Maybe you do meditation, but maybe you don't have time for that. So maybe you have a Pulsetto and you're wearing that while you're brushing your teeth, or you're wearing that while you're, sitting and doing something else, right? You can kind of be multitasking while you're doing that. But I do think there's something to be said for maybe having just 5 minutes in the morning of like quiet time where we're not engaged with like the outer world and on the phone, and just like being able to kind of go inward. I think the morning is such a beautiful time for that. And then before you go to bed as well, right? It's like this time in the day, it's this transition where we're kind of doing a few things anyways to get us ready for the day. We're doing a few things anyways to get us ready for the evening. So it can be really powerful to just stack like one little habit that's going to be nervous system supporting in the morning and in the evening. It can be a Pulsetto, it could be, 5 minutes of breathing. It could be 1 minute of breathing, right? Like it doesn't have to be crazy. I think just as long as we're doing something continuously, that's really just calming, grounding, and supportive. And then the other thing that I like to say to people too is like during the day, we can take intentional breaks, right? And not even long breaks. Like it could be 1 minute every 2 hours. Maybe set a little alarm on your phone. And for 1 minute, you breathe. Or for 1 minute, you hum. Or for 1 minute, you do like a vagal massage. Or for maybe 4 minutes, you put on the Pulsetto as you're working or something, right? I think that there's a lot of cool research that's showing that when it comes to like neuroplasticity, the more frequent we're doing things, doesn't have to be that we're doing them for long, but if every, couple hours you're doing something to down-regulate your nervous system and to calm your nervous system, that's going to create like neuroplasticity in your brain that's going to allow your body to be able to move into that sort of calm state of being a little bit more quickly. So, and it doesn't have to be long, right? So it's like we're taking coffee breaks anyway. We're going to the bathroom. We're doing, little things, getting up, walking, drinking water. So you can just kind of maybe plug in once or twice, or every couple hours or whatever. You can do something that's a little bit calming, nervous system regulating, just to kind of get it in there and down regulate the nervous system.
I always want to spread the message that it's okay to slow down and just sort of give time to yourself. Because we seem to be rushing and judging yourself for not being able to finish this or that. And putting ourselves into this sort of stress and anxiety mode that just sort of completely, it's very destructive. And can you sort of share the daily stress and anxiety impact on your just overall well-being and daily life? Just sort of, it seems like it's not such a big thing, but if we just sort of let it take over our life, it just sort of can completely collapse our bodies and minds. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, there are so many different ways. I think like the biggest thing that comes up for me is when I think about stress actually creates like an inflammatory response in the body, and inflammation is responsible for pretty much all disease, right? So if we have this chronic stress response, we're chronically in a state of inflammation, we're chronically in a state of hypervigilance, like we're not giving our body a chance to like recover. So if maybe we're doing things like exercise, but we're not even giving our body a real chance to recover. So we're going to be just taking, like nutrients and stores from areas of the body that actually need that nourishment, just to sort of keep up with just to keep up with like our stress levels, right? Like I said, we're going to be like increasing our inflammation. Our digestion is going to take a huge hit, because also the vagus nerve innervates the digestive system. So if that whole thing isn't working, maybe we're eating healthy food as well. Like, let's say we're doing all the things. We're eating healthy, we're exercising, but we're still in that chronic fight flight response. All the healthy food we're going to be eating, we're not even really going to be digesting and assimilating it well, because our body it's not focusing on digestion, it's focusing on survival. Right.
Yeah.
And same with like, if we're exercising, I'm going to go to the gym. Yeah. Even if you're doing yoga, also not all yoga is created equal. If you go do like a some of those yoga classes are intense, right? Maybe you're doing a power flow, you come in and you're exhausted, but if your body is in that fight flight kind of stress response, it's not going to be supporting, like muscle building and repair. It's going to be focusing on staying alive. And so we're not going to be able to, again, like deeply nourish our tissues, or even get to that, higher level of health that we want, that we're working super hard for. We're going to be just, again, stuck in this like survival mode, feeling really tired, feeling really overwhelmed, just not feeling good, struggling with digestion, struggling with all of these things. And it actually will like deteriorate your body over time. So two things can actually happen. We might see like muscle wasting, like our body you might get quite thin, you might get quite, in that sense, where the body like deteriorates. But also what we see a lot happen is people gain a lot of weight, because the body's like, whoa, actually, we're not safe right now. We need to hold on to all of this extra fat, because that's what we did historically. If we were in a fight flight stress response, we needed to maintain our level of nourishment and our level of nutrients. So maybe we keep that weight on, right? And that leads to a host of other sort of health issues. So, and what's interesting too, is when we look at a lot of the research, thyroid issues, again, cancer, we look at other things, again, GI issues, so much of it comes back to stress. Cortisol, our hormones, if we even look at hormone imbalances, a root cause for that is stress, is being in like a fight, flight, stress response. It's like the root of everything, right? So, which is crazy when you think about it, because when, we have this awareness and understanding, and we can see how important it is, and we have these tools, which is awesome. A lot of people don't, and they think they need to work harder, and they think they need to do more, but actually it's probably you need to do less, and you need to ease and calm the nervous system more, as opposed to just like powering through and doing all the things.
Yeah, we're taking our bodies for granted most of the time. Just sort of, as a vessel, you have to go and conquer the world.
Yes.
And what kind of did you try any other vagus nerve stimulators before Pulsetto? No?
Yeah, no, I've never tried another one.
Okay. And how did you find out about Pulsetto? Because I'm not really aware.
Oh, I think that I don't, obviously I don't think it was you, but I think someone, Vitaligis, I'm going to say that name wrong. I think he reached out to me and was like, hey, I think you'd be really great to like let's chat. Let's see if there's like an opportunity for collaboration. I was like, let's do it. So we chatted. Then they sent one over. We tried it, and it was lovely. Like, even my daughter, she was like, ooh, what's this thing? What was she calling it? She was calling it the calm something. The calm. Yeah, she was calling it the calm something. She's like, I want the calm massager. That's what she was calling it. She's like, I want the calm massager. And I got to tell you, like, she would put it around. I was like, okay, I'm going to put this on a lower setting. She was into it. She would feel so much more calm. I would feel like, we would all sit around like at, before bedtime and do the little sleep setting. It was really, really cool.
Okay. Yeah. And so you use it for sleep?
I like to use it for sleep, or in the day. Like just because we're aware of the stress doesn't mean that it doesn't, creep up. So if there's ever that time where I go back into that pattern of feeling really like, I can feel it in my body. Like it feels like high blood pressure. It feels like that tenseness. I would use it then and be like, okay, Mel, I need some sort of like a deeper stimulus that's going to just like calm everything. So that's typically when I would use it. But before bed is great. Like there was a phase where I was really struggling to sleep. And that was one thing that really, really helped to get me into sleep.
Yeah, for me too. That's when I use Pulsetto the most. That's how actually I started working with Vitalius and Paulos, the two co-founders. So I was the third person to join the company.
Cool.
And we just had a walk with Vitalius, and he started pitching this, and I was like, this sort of funny looking device. We were walking by a river, and I was like, what is happening? What are you on about? Then he gave it to me, and it's like, just try it. and I told him that yeah, I struggle with sleep a lot. And then I remember that yeah, I just put it on. I think maybe I used it like twice this sleep, whatever routine, whatever program.
Yeah.
And then you can feel the wave of calm and just
Yeah.
drowsiness all of a sudden, and you're just like, ah, yeah, I'm about to pass out. This is
Yeah.
beautiful.
So good.
And then you don't wake up during the night because yeah, my main struggle used to be that yeah, I can't fall asleep, and then I kept waking up during the night. And then
Yeah.
finally it seemed like in years I haven't had such a calm sleep. Yeah. Uh, what other sort of techniques that you tried to improve your sleep?
I've definitely taken different herbs. Some sleep herbs are
Yeah.
really lovely. Things like lavender. There's like certain herbal blends. I think I had once taken this capsule. It was like a little bit of melatonin, skullcap, valerian, like, different sleep herbs.
Yeah.
That's been helpful. Some things that people try that don't work. Sometimes people do meditation and it actually wakes them up a little bit, because actually meditation is something that we really focus, like depending on the type of meditation, it might wake you up a little. It might make your mind feel really spacey. So I never found meditation to be something so great before bed. I do love to do maybe some calming yoga poses. That can be helpful also for sure. Or maybe some gentle like breath practices can also be gentle, things like that I've tried. And then there are different like self-massage techniques that are also helpful as well that I've tried.
Okay. And how do you combine, if you combine Pulsetto with, I don't know, any other like breath work or yoga? How do you use it? And do you feel any improvement overall if
Ooh.
you, yeah.
Now I feel like I want to like really do a little experiment and test it out. If I don't think I've consciously like done this, but I think that I
Yep.
do. Pulsetto will be the thing that I do kind of last, though I would be curious to see. So I would maybe do like, and it changes every night. Like sometimes I might do a few yoga poses. I might do a little bit of conscious breathing or maybe reading. And then I would kind of do it at the end. But now I'm curious to see how it would, I almost feel like I'd feel if I did it first, maybe subconsciously, it's like, I know that I would feel so calm. I wouldn't want to do the other things. So I'd be like, yeah, I don't need to do this anymore. So yeah, I've done it at the end. But now I think I'm going to experiment with doing it first and see if maybe that would like, make the poses feel even more calming or something. I don't know. I'm curious now.
Yeah. Did you try using Pulsetto in your practice with other clients or not?
You know what? I haven't, because I don't see people in person really here. I've maybe seen, I see
Okay.
mostly people online.
Okay, that's very, very, yeah, because we keep having sort of a lot of doctors and practitioners are approaching us and they're trying to use Pulsetto in their practice. So I thought maybe you managed to do that, but yeah.
I think it could be cool though to do, like, let's say someone's in like a trauma response or someone is really dysregulated. Like, I think it could be really beautiful to use at the beginning. Or if even someone's a bodywork practitioner who does like craniosacral therapy and the nervous system is just like, that it could be something to do. Like if I were to do it, I would do it like right in the beginning, maybe guide them through a little meditation as they're doing it. Again, it's like 4 minutes, so it's like not too much. I would really like let that be the anchor. And that might just like create space for them to be able to go deeper, even physically, right? Like if someone comes in and their body's really stiff, it might be helpful to just kind of calm them down and then they can work a little deeper within the body. Because sometimes a lot of like, physical issues, the root of it might be just a really tight nervous system. Like the vagus nerve might just be like fight, flight, no, overwhelm, right? So,
Hi.
Hello. So I would say I would do it first, and I think it would be great actually. And because it's so non-invasive, it's safe. Like I feel there's not really so many contraindications to it. I mean, if someone's a doctor and they're working with someone, of course they would know a little bit better, but I feel like it's such a safe, non-invasive thing that can really just have such a a powerful effect to be able to help people just go deeper and maybe unwind physically or mentally, whatever's going on for them.
So have you ever tried using it while meditating or not?
Not using like a guided meditation, but just kind of sitting there and doing my own meditation. Yeah. And it's lovely. It's it really amplifies the meditation, especially if you're stressed. Like this is the thing too, if you're meditating and you're so stressed, sometimes it's like, ooh, but actually it really drops you into this really calm state and you kind of go deeper. Like it makes it a lot easier to kind of drop into, okay, I'm meditating, I'm calm. Yeah. It was really lovely. But a guided one I haven't done, but I can imagine like soothing music in the background, a calm voice. It would be good.
Yeah, so please try it.
I will.
Do you have any tips for people like me who can't get into meditation at all, and how to start meditating, how to force yourself?
Yes, I do. I do. I would say number one, start really slow. Like start like
Yeah.
5 minutes max, like 20 minutes is a long time to meditate, to sit there and like be silent. So I would say start slow, probably start with something guided, and probably start honestly using the Pulsetto. Like if that might help calm the nervous system, having something to focus the mind on is really helpful. So like having that guided meditation can be really good because you're focusing on a voice. And then like in terms of sometimes when people meditate, they just sit down and they close their eyes and they're just like, think about nothing, think about nothing. But no, your mind needs to actually think. It does need to think about something. It needs something to hold on to hold its attention. So what you could do is either listen to something guided, or you can pick like, it could be a yogic mantra or just like a phrase that you say over and over again. It could be your breath. Like your mind needs something to focus on. And your mind will wander for sure, but the practice is like continuing to bring it back to that one thing that you're focusing on, or that one phrase or your breath or whatever it is, and making it really short so that by the time you're done, even if it's 3 minutes, so that you finish it and you're like, yes, I did it. I did so good. Look at me, so you build almost that self-trust and you build that like confidence that, okay, I am a good meditator. I'm starting with 3 minutes, and then you maybe build up to 5 or 6 or whatever. But I would start short, probably use the Pulsetto, and make sure that your mind has something to focus on, and that we're not just like sitting like empty the mind, because your mind won't empty. There's so many things in there. We actually need something to focus the mind on, and then it's a little bit easier.
Okay, good. I'll try that because my mind always drifts somewhere. So maybe that was the reason why, because I was not concentrating on anything in particular. So I'll try, because I'm always very like bouncy human.
Yes.
And for all of those skeptics out there, how would you? I don't know if it's if there is a point to try and convince someone, but how would you explain the importance of vagus nerve and just sort of managing stress levels and ensuring quality of sleep, and just I don't know, keep trying. I find an angle how to explain it in the simplest words possible, just to people to be aware and to understand that it's worth trying, because you're investing in your overall well-being. And then longevity, the popular word nowadays, which I hate, but so how would you address all the skepticism?
Yes. Okay. I hope this is the simplest way to explain it. It's like when we think about your nervous system, we can think about the sympathetic is the gas, and the parasympathetic is like the brake that slows us down. But the thing that determines our ability to speed up or slow down is the vagus nerve. So if our vagus nerve is not well toned and it's all over the place, imagine driving a car that does not have a strong brake mechanism, and you can't smoothly go from like gas to brake, gas to brake. Your car is going to be like it's going to be going back and forth. And the vagus nerve is responsible for that mechanism. It helps that when we sort of gently take our foot off of the vagus nerve when it's well toned, okay, we can safely speed up into, so example, our conversation, we're in like a safe mobilization, we're laughing, we're having this like fun connection. This is where we are in like a little bit of a sympathetic, but it's safe. We're like playing, we're playful, we're engaged. This is good. We want this. But if we were really dysregulated, we might be like all over the place, like squirrel, but I don't know, we might be more dysregulated. We might get heated, angry, like, we might not be able to control that sort of playful, mobilization. Or again, if the vagus nerve is not properly toned, we do need to like gently put our foot on the brake, but instead we might slam our foot on the brake or put the emergency brake on. And then we're just sort of in this dissociative state. So a strong vagus nerve allows for us to ebb and flow in and out of mobilization, which is necessary for obviously engaging and being social, but also if you need to maybe stand up and fight or flight, then we actually need to be able to do that appropriately. And sometimes we need to put our foot on the gas our foot on the brake to go to sleep, to sort of wind down for the evening. So if we are struggling with, say, sleep at night, it could be that, okay, our vagus nerve just needs a little bit more support so that we can gently put our foot on the gas or on the brake, and just like ease into sleep, that could be like what's happening. So I like to think about it, that like break mechanism, and really the vagus nerve is responsible for that ebb and flow.
Yes, that is quite a good explanation. Now it's just when you started saying about the anger and sort of emotional disbalance, we travel a lot to different conferences and exhibitions, and we meet a lot of people, and I'm trying to chat with as many clients as possible, and I keep bumping into one sentence that is like, people assume that it is normal to to have mood swings, to have lack of energy, even when it's like during the day, wake up tired, be restless, and they do not connect that with stress. And then after actually calming down and getting into routine, they realize like, wow, I was like, the new normal should be that feeling calm and in control of your body, because now it just seems like there's a bunch of explosions. We have no idea what's happening with our body, and but it's the new normality for some reason, and I really don't know why. And what do you think about the importance of the routine? Do you think that it's important?
Yes, I think yes. Yes. Routine. I feel like I bang on about this all the time. I think routine is one of the most important things that we can do in our lives. It gives a sense of like consistency, and it doesn't even have to be like a crazy routine, right? But just the simple act of like, I'm going to wake up at roughly the same time. I'm going to do these 3 things in the morning. Then I'm going to do this. Having that routine and that consistency, it creates safety in the body. Actually, it creates predictability. Your nervous system does not like the unknown. The unknown is very scary for the nervous system. It's very threatening. So when we have a sense, and this doesn't mean we become obsessed with our routine, but roughly, like let's say 80% of the time we do the same thing, it's very regulating, it's very calming, it's very, it's safe for the nervous system, A. And then B, when we have a routine, hopefully we're doing healthy supportive things in that routine. We're doing things that are calming the nervous system. We're doing things that are maybe creating capacity. We're exercising, we're eating well, whatever it is. So these things are all going to have this like really beautiful compound effect on our body, on our stress response. Again, too, like when we even think of like our circadian rhythm, a disruption in circadian rhythm, which means, like the sort of rhythm of the day. So if we're going to bed at like midnight or something, that's going to have, there's important physiological processes that happen after say 10 p.m. And we should be sleeping for that, because that's when we're needing to be like restored, right? But if our nervous system is dysregulated and our vagus nerve can't put on the brakes enough, around the 10 p.m. mark, and then we're awake until midnight, our body's not getting that deep healing and regeneration that it needs in order to function optimally, right? And then exactly, we're going to wake up, we're going to feel tired, we're going to be moody, because, if we look to at like, I wish I had a little graph here, but our melatonin, which is our sleep hormone, it rises and falls with the moon. And our cortisol should rise and fall with the sun, right? But if our daily routine is off, then those hormones are going to be off. And if we have high levels of cortisol, again, like throughout the day, we're not going to have that gentle fall at night. It might stay spiked for a little bit. And then melatonin's not going to rise, because it's like, wait a minute, I'm waiting for cortisol to fall. So again, it can sort of disrupt that sort of hormonal balance. And again, if we have high levels of stress throughout the day, this is going to absolutely sort of influence that. So yeah, having that steady routine, consistency, doesn't have to be crazy, I think is really important just for so many things: safety of the nervous system, balancing our circadian rhythm. And then obviously if we're in, healthy routines, hopefully we're doing, healthy-ish things that are down regulating and supporting our nervous system and making us feel a little bit more calm. And I think that's the first place for anyone to start. Like if I'm working with a client, the first thing I do is we talk about their routine. Like I want to make sure that they have nothing crazy, but that they have like a bed. I will literally help them pick a bedtime. I'm like, let's pick your bedtime. Are you going to bed at 9:30, 10? Like, what is it? And I'm like, I'm going to hold you to that. Like that is literally what we do, because a lot of people will go to bed at midnight, or they'll stay up and they're scrolling their phone, or they're doing this and that. Like, no, we got to put that phone away. We got to, get to bed at a certain time, because we have to be up at a certain time. And if we're consistently, getting only 6 hours of sleep, of course we're going to feel shitty. And if we're not getting high quality sleep because our nervous system's all dysregulated, again, we're going to wake up and not feel so good. So routine is like amazing. And I think it's a really good, accessible first place to start, where you don't have to change all of these crazy things. You literally just have to like go to bed at a certain time, wake up at a certain time, do 2 to 3 things in the morning, 2 to 3 things in the evening that are helpful. And that's like a perfect place to start.
Yeah, I know. I keep trying to convince. No, I actually stopped trying to convince my friends, but everyone started referring to me as a grandma because for
Yes,
me,
of course.
sleep and routine is very important. I'm saying like, no, I can't stay up too late because it's my bedtime.
Yes.
Oh my God, why you're not enjoying your youth?
Oh,
Yeah, I
God.
don't know.
Yeah,
There's so much judgment
there
for
is.
for
There
not
is.
for actually having a routine and trying to get your shit together and just
Yeah.
yeah, it's very sad. Um, stress resilience and HRV, the
Mm,
those sort of magical words. Um, I was actually never aware of HRV
mhm,
until I started using Pulsetto and just
mhm,
I was like, yeah, what, a couple of years ago. Um, how I assume you known it for longer than I
mhm,
do, but how important it is, how to do you know how to try and balance and have healthy HRV, and what are sort of tricks or I don't know,
mhm.
also routines that you could keep your HRV healthy, and of course, what is HRV
Yes,
and
yes,
why is it important?
yes, yes. So heart rate variability is the beat by beat. So actually, this is something everyone can do. If you take your pulse and you inhale, you'll notice a certain rhythm of beat. And when you exhale, you'll notice it's a little bit slower. So when we inhale, we naturally have like a more sympathetic tone. When we exhale, we have a more parasympathetic tone. So the heart rate variability is the beat by beat variation within heart rate. And this is in the literature, the best measure of vagal tone that we have. So having like a strong heart rate variability is very, very important as an indicator, of course, of vagal tone, which is an indicator of overall nervous system health, which is really, really important. So of course, things like Pulsetto, anything that's going to support vagus nerve toning is going to support heart rate variability. So things like the Pulsetto, things like breathing, things like, again, having a consistent daily routine is going to be helpful. Other things that are lesser known that are really helpful in the literature too are like ice baths or like cold showers are shown to be very, very helpful. Especially I'm like in a very hot place. I find them just like generally cooling and lovely as well. Yoga as well can be very, very helpful when we do things like a sun salutation. When we fold forward and then we come up, our heart in relation to gravity changes, and the ability of our heart to quickly adjust our heartbeat and our blood pressure can also really support heart rate variability. So if you're someone who has maybe POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, good for me for saying
Oh,
that, which is basically something where when you bend over and then you stand up, you might feel really dizzy and almost pass out. That can actually be, you don't need fancy equipment to know, but that can be an indication of maybe not so great heart rate variability, that there's something sort of going on there that we need to work with. So gently practicing different postures that will slowly, and this is in that extreme case, if you feel really dizzy, gently sort of practicing, lifting the head, putting the head down so that we can kind of build that capacity and build a little bit of resiliency. Like, I think that something that's really important, what we talked about before, is like understanding our nervous system. No two nervous systems are exactly the same. We're all going to respond differently to different practices, to different, modes on the Pulsetto. We're going to respond differently to things. So always being aware of, okay, what's happening for me in this yoga posture? What's happening for me in this meditation? And how can I gently tweak it to really support me and what I need? So maybe if you're having a hard time, if you notice that a sun salutation is really like, ooh, you feel like you're going to pass out, maybe you gently modify it and you sort of meet yourself at your edge. Like, this is important too, that within nervous system regulation and healing, we're not only trying to like create safety. This is a big thing in, say, like the trauma healing word. Yes, we want to create safety. We want our nervous system to feel good, but we also want to cultivate resiliency, right? We also want to be able to do difficult things and to push ourselves a little, but we have to push ourselves in relation to ourselves, right? In relation to what's true for us. So maybe again, talking about cold baths, I don't think they're right for everyone. I think some people don't
yep.
do very well with them, right? If someone is having tons, from an Ayurvedic lens, there's a concept called Vata dosha. And this is, I always say, like the root cause of anxiety. It's basically the wind and the air, or the space and air elements really out of balance within us, right? When we talked about our minds, we're like, woo, the mind is all over the place. This is the work of that dosha. And so it can be really aggravated by things that are really cold. So if you are someone who is more vata in nature, that cold bath is actually going to dysregulate you maybe more, right? So what can be healing for one, it can be dysregulating for another. It might not have such a positive impact on heart rate variability. It might not have such a positive effect on your nervous system. So kind of always being attuned to, how does this thing that I'm doing make me feel? What's the effect it's having on me and my nervous system? Does it feel healing, or does it feel a little disruptive? And then kind of working from there. I feel like I strayed from your question, but I hope that is
Yeah.
helpful info.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting actually. Yeah, from understanding that there is no one
Yes.
magic pill that will help you and so on. It's like I was very
Yeah.
annoyed when we got a Wired article from one of the journalists who wrote about Pulsetto, and he said, okay, they claim that they can help increase HRV. Let's try it. And he didn't change anything in his life. He was still abusing his body. He was still drinking alcohol. He was still not sleeping. Then saying like, "Oh no, it doesn't work." I'm like, are you kidding me? How?
So funny. Yeah, like nothing exists in a vacuum. Like this definitely isn't like, yeah, some magic pill that you're just going to take and everything's going to be healed. Nothing exists like that. You guys would be millionaires if that was the case. Obviously, you have to make some other changes in your life. Like that's foundational. This is definitely something that will like amplify that and help you go deeper and help that just, really aid it along in a deeper way than anything else kind of can. But you have to make changes in your life. You can't just be like binge drinking every night and like doing drugs and like not sleeping. Like, yes, obviously that's going to, all of those other things are going to have this compound effect that's going to be far greater than any other external tool. So you have to, make small changes, little things, slightly over time. It's so funny, people.
Yeah, people are funny. I think that's my vision in the future of Pulsetto, just to have that's why we wanted to do guided meditations. That's why we have digital plans, to just sort of try and help people to make them understand that everyone wants a quick fix, but it doesn't exist. You need to start somewhere. You need to work with yourself. You need to understand your body to begin with. It's like what works for you, what doesn't. And okay, and how would you help, I guess, because people are terrified. That's why everyone is looking for, some set routine or whatever, or digital plan that would help them, and they try it for a week and then get annoyed or it doesn't work. How to how would you help and understand, but like, okay, if you would have a customer who would say that, oh, I don't know how to tell if it actually helps me, how to find little things that helps me to calm down, to increase HRV, to improve sleep, because like, yeah, sometimes Pulsetto will work. How to actually understand stress triggers, and it's like how to basically start learning the language of your body and how to get into that.
Yeah. Ooh, that's such a good question. I have so many thoughts on this. I think that what can be really helpful is like, let's say someone's just beginning, and this is something maybe you could incorporate on your app, is maybe when people first start, there's like a few questions. How stressed do you feel? Scale of 1 to 10. How anxious do you feel? Scale of 1 to 10. Like just kind of creating a little bit of like body awareness, and just for people to sort of assess, like, where are you right now? And then, okay, I think that you do have this on your app. I think that after you do each session, it like asks you like, how do you feel? Then you put a little thing. But over time, maybe people over weeks or months or whatever, maybe having people kind of track and assess, like, how do I feel? Because sometimes the changes can be very small. Like, it's not like you're going to do the Pulsetto and then like, whoa, like stress is gone. And it's like so extreme. Like it could be slow over time. For some people, it might be very instantaneous. You might feel that like whoosh of just calm. Some people might not, depending on their nervous system, right? So some people might notice an immediate effect, and sometimes the effect is, again, over time. So tracking either maybe in an independent journal or somehow on like the app, just tracking how you're feeling over time. How stressed do you feel? How much energy do you have, right? Are you noticing? And like, even within myself, I'll also say to anyone who's listening, like, this is a journey, this is a lifelong journey. Like, it's not like you and I have arrived. It's a magical destination. No, there's so much more to go, right? So something that was really interesting for me to notice was maybe like 3 years ago, mid-pandemic, really crazy. We were all, I'm sure, really dysregulated. I would notice I would be really snappy at my daughter, for example. And I was like, okay, this is not right. And really emotional, all the things. And it took me like maybe a month ago, I was like, wow, I wasn't even really aware because I didn't bring my awareness to it. I was like, oh my God, I'm way better. Like I haven't done that in a long time, but I wasn't paying attention to that. Like I wasn't like naming it or tracking it. So it almost went unnoticed by me that, wow, like look how much progress, like, this has been, who knows how long I've felt less snappy for. Had I been like tracking it and aware of it, I would have seen that progress and felt maybe even more proud and like good for me kind of thing. So I think when we're aware of our progress, I think that can be really helpful. And then the other thing people could do, there's a lot of cool, like, what is that? Like Aura Ring or like those things that actually track your HRV. Like you can actually track it over time and see how it, like, I find those things super interesting just to get like the data. I think the data is very, very interesting to see, wow, look at how this is actually changing my heart rate variability. And it might change. Like I've seen, I don't have one, but a friend of mine, she did her heart rate variability, did an ice bath, and you can see it change like in real time. It's really cool. So you could track that if people are really data driven and they want to see the science or whatever, they can totally do that. But I think just tracking like mood over time, energy over time, anxiety over time, noticing like your ability to respond to triggers. Like maybe someone says something and, oh, you realize like this happened to me recently, something happened. And I was like, oh my God, like 3 years ago, I would have like had a mental breakdown about this, but I'm feeling great. I was like, this is awesome. So, and bringing our awareness, bringing implicit awareness to these subtle things that we maybe take for granted and like maybe recognizing that win, like good for me. Like I would have responded differently. Like, okay, this is working. And that might motivate you to continue on that path a little bit.
Yeah, I think there was maybe expecting some, I don't know, more palpable hacks, but actually, yeah, that helped me a lot also, just trying to understand. I mean, it's not maybe being grateful for the progress that I did, but just to understand what brings me stress. Just to understand the triggers. Why do I feel this anxious? Like what is happening? Just trying to slow down and even write it down and just sort of, because when it's such a big monster that you can't, it seems like you can't find it. But then if you just dissect it into tiny little monsters, then it's just like, it's actually easy. It's not that scary.
Yes. And there's actually, as like a little hack in like life, let's just say, I always say this to my client, I call it the ABC method because it's like ABC, super easy to remember. Whenever you're feeling really triggered or something triggers you, exactly. It's like A is awareness. So we become aware, I'm triggered, or ooh, I'm anxious, or, just become aware of whatever the thing is that's happening. And then I would say breathe. So B is breathe. So take a breath or just connect in some way to your body to kind of like, okay, calm that stimulus. And then C is like choose and and choose, how do I want to respond? Or you can even, I feel like I had another word for C as well. That was like, just become aware of like, okay, well, why is this happening? Choose how you want to respond. Choose how you want to, handle this sort of stimulus and see what sort of what's happening. So you can have that awareness. You can choose a different path. You can choose, something that you can do to sort of calm yourself. I find that really, really helpful because bringing that awareness, like, and I can totally appreciate too, like when we go on this journey, it can feel really exhausting. It can feel like, oh my God, like so many things trigger me. Like, oh my, when you're bringing all this stuff up, it can feel overwhelming for sure. But I think the more we bring our awareness to these little things, we're able to calm ourselves a little, and then we're able to kind of choose a different path forward, or we're able to do something that can be, that can kind of move us forward, can be really helpful so that we're not just unconsciously, habitually responding and reacting to our life. We're able to thoughtfully choose our path forward.
Very wise. Okay. Do you have anything else to add? Our time is coming to an end.
I don't think so. Sadly, this was fun. This is so fun. I don't think I have anything else to add. This was great. If I think of anything, I will email you for sure. But
okay, please do. Yes. And thank you so much for this, that you decided to partake in my little experiment.
Yes, I loved it. It's great.
Okay, thank you so much for your time and have a lovely day.
Yes. You as well. Thanks, Sophia.
Bye.